What's going on, guys, and welcome to part 6 of my Team career mode on F1 2021. Today it is round 5, the Canadian Grand Prix. We start with doing some weight training for our second driver, Christian Lundgaard. We only have 2 spaces of kind of activity slots here, so not really a whole lot we can do. We go into here and we are going to do a quality control upgrade on the powertrain, but then I decide I'm not going to do it on powertrain, I'm going to do it on durability instead. So we go ahead and do that. We haven't actually done much upgrades to the powertrain yet because our engine is decent compared to other cars, so there are other areas we need to work on. Looking at R&D, as you can see, Alfa Romeo have made a big jump up the order. They're just so much further ahead of us now. We're actually falling into the clutches of Williams and Haas. Onto Q1, this would be my fastest lap. Canada, Montreal is a track that I do quite enjoy. It's probably one of my favorites on the F1 calendar, at least on the games to drive on. It's just a really fun flowing track. It flows really well. Quite a fast track, and also one of the shorter tracks on the calendar, but I just really enjoy the track. As you can see here, get a little bit out of shape through there. This is not a perfect lap by any means, but unfortunately, it's the only real chance I got, and it was the best lap that I did do. You can also see there I get a little bit sideways coming out of that corner, but yeah, it's just a really fun track to drive. Like I said, rather short, one of the shorter laps on the calendar, but it's just such a fun track to drive. It flows so well. It's got quite a couple of long straights, and just some decent corners in between. Nothing too tight and twisty. More just nice medium speed flowing corners, which I really like. As we jump over the curb a little bit there, we didn't get a penalty or anything or a warning, so it's a perfectly fine lap in my opinion. That puts us P12. However, going on to the end of Q1, we don't stay P12, we actually drop all the way down to P19, which means that we don't get through into Q2. Wasn't really expecting it anyway, but yeah, it's a Q1 outage for us this time once again, but let's see what can happen in the race.
Bonjour! It's time once again to go racing here in Montreal, the second largest French-speaking city in the world, and home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. With top speeds of around 210 miles per hour heading into the overtaking opportunity of turn 13, the 2.7 miles of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve are some of the quickest on the Formula One calendar. There are 14 corners in total, with 60% of the lap taken at full throttle, and average lap speeds clock in at about 130 miles per hour. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us, Ant, and tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Ricciardo, Sergio Perez, and Leclerc, Norris, Sainz, Vettel, and Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Esteban Ocon, and Raikkonen, Tsunoda, Giovinazzi, Nikita MAZEPIN, and George Russell, Shaw, Mick Schumacher, Lundgaard, and Nicholas Latifi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Alright, so here we are for the Canadian Grand Prix to 5 red lights. And it's quite a long one this time. Off we go. We actually get a very good start off the grid, jumping Russell into the first corner. We're now kind of right behind Mazepin. Christian Lundgaard, our teammate, is diving up the inside. It's the first time we've really seen him and somewhat battled him throughout this whole career mode, to be completely honest. We've been a fair way in front of him most of the time, but he is still hanging it around the outside, but we do not want to concede that position. We're going to brake a little bit late. He's still trying to go too wide into that corner there. However, eventually he kind of chickens out of it. We make sure we keep our foot in, keep our wheel in, keep our nose in, I guess is the way you put it, and we get in front of him. So we're up into 18th place. watching a little replay here, we've got some awesome battling going on here. We're kind of catching up to, I believe it's Mazepin up the front, is it? Yes, it is. Nikita Mazepin up ahead of us. We're going to see what he can do. He's made a few mistakes this season whenever he has been up a little bit ahead of us. We go for a big dive on him into this hairpin. We actually get a bit caught out by Giovinazzi. He touched his rear right wheel a little bit there. No damage is done to either car, but yeah, it is. I kind of was up the inside, but maybe not quite close enough, as then up here we get to the outside of Mazepin after a little bit of a dummy look on the inside. We try and break late into the Wall of Champions, and we manage to get the position on Mazepin. Giovinazzi has now moved a bit further up the grid, thanks to that little altercation I had with him at the start, but thankfully we're past Mazepin. He is only on mediums where we're all on softs, so really wanted to make that happen. Going on to lap number 3, we've caught up to this train in front of us with Giovinazzi at the back, and he is the next car we are wanting to overtake. So we get DRS. DRS is available this lap, and a little bit of ERS, but not a whole lot. We're not quite close enough to have a dive at Giovinazzi into the Wall of Champions this time, but hopefully a couple of laps down the track we will get that opportunity, as there's another DRS zone after the Wall of Champions, but we don't really get any closer than that. We've kind of got a bit of a DRS train going on. You can see a bunch of cars up ahead of him. It's all a little bit of a DRS train. We are starting to drop Mazepin a little bit behind, but yeah, it's all just a bit of a DRS train. As onto lap 4, we are closer than we were last time to Giovinazzi around the hairpin, going onto the back straight. We're dropping ERS all the way through here. DRS is open, and we're gonna have another little go, but it's just that DRS train. You need to be so close at the back and really deploying all your ERS if you want to have a chance to get past there. It's just not happening. It's just not going to happen. Further in front on that same lap, we had a little bit of a battle between two previous teammates. Carlos Sainz is ahead of Lando Norris, but Lando Norris going to the outside, going into the Wall of Champions, he doesn't quite manage to get far enough alongside to make the move stick. But then in the next DRS zone, Lando Norris is going to pull to the inside for this corner here for turn 1, and he has got the position. So the two former McLaren teammates from last year and the year before, Lando Norris has come out on top in the McLaren this time, with Carlos Sainz conceding the position. Now we're going to change the strategy here. They say come in 2 laps later, so I'm going to go with that. We will give it a shot. And we're still looking for a way past Giovinazzi. Once again, we're a little bit slower there, but we're really just not gaining barely at all on the back straight, unless I'm dumping a bunch of ERS into it, which I don't really want to be doing. Onto the next lap, it's a little bit of a similar story. I put a bit more ERS. We actually have a little look up the inside this time, but we're nowhere near far enough. We can't go for a dive that far back into that corner. It is a very quick chicane, and things could easily go wrong. As we actually get a good run out into turn 1, we have a little look up the inside of turn 1, but once again, we're not quite close enough. I'm not confident enough there to make a dive on Gio from that far back, so we're going to have to follow him around probably for another lap here. He gets a little bit squirrely out of that corner, but he is still ahead. This is the next DRS zone in the middle of the lap, and once again we're looking at the inside, but there's nothing I can really do. I'm just kind of stuck there. I can't find a way past. He's defending well, and he's got decent pace, so right now we're struggling to get past Gio. Once again, coming into the hairpin, we seem a little bit further back this time, but maybe we can get a bit of a better run off the corner this time, and sure enough, this time we do. We get a good run. I'm not sure if he's actually out of the DRS zone of the car in front. I believe he might be. We managed to go for the outside. We're going to do the same move that we did on Mazepin on lap 1 and get the position from Giovinazzi. Finally on lap number 7, we get it done. We're up to P16. Going on to P9, and well, we've got Hamilton around the outside because the leaders have come in for their pit stop, so he looks on the outside there, and then I think, well, I'm just going to let you go past, mate, because I'm not fighting you. Hamilton is right behind him. These are the leaders of the race right now, and it looks like a pretty exciting battle. Well, they're not necessarily the leaders yet, but as we have a look down here, this is carrying on from the spot we were just looking at them before. Verstappen is now sizing up Lewis Hamilton. He's going to go round the outside. He's going to try and make the same move that I made on Mazepin and Giovinazzi, and he has done it. Mazepin is up the lead. He's somewhat in the net race lead now. However, Bottas has come in for his pit. These guys came in a lap earlier. So what will happen? Will he have undercut Bottas? There is Bottas coming out of the pits. They're coming out side by side. Max has just about managed to come out before Bottas. They've made the undercut work, and Max Verstappen, he is in the net lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Esteban Ocon is up ahead in the lead at the moment, but he has not yet pit. So yeah, Max Verstappen currently leading with the 2 Mercedes trailing behind him. We go a little bit further though, and Valtteri Bottas is now looking up the inside of Max. He doesn't quite get up alongside into the Wall of Champions, but he's going to be looking at a run here, but he's been compromised a little bit, and he's actually now in the clutches of his teammate Lewis Hamilton, who looks up the inside of Bottas, and they're side by side through turn 1 and 2. Hamilton on the outside, but Bottas has to let the position go. I think they're still side by side here though. Yes, they are. And what is going to happen? Well, Hamilton is going to get the position. Bottas may be leading the championship right now, but Hamilton's got the pace here, and Mercedes are going to want him to go ahead, so that is what happens. On lap 10, we come into the pits for our first stop. This is actually the first time we're doing a 2-stop strategy. Our other races so far have all been 1-stops, but this time we're doing a 2-stop from the softs to 2 sets of mediums, and we're coming in this lap for a change. Now, a little bit of a mess up by me, because I think I came in 1 lap earlier than I was supposed to, and I kind of may have screwed over my teammate a little bit. Didn't realize he was also coming in on this lap, so yeah, we may have screwed Christian up a little bit there. He's probably lost a bit of time from the double stack, but oh well. I mean, he's not going to be scoring points, and he's not going to be anywhere near us anyway, so I'm not that bothered about it, to be honest. Next up, we've got Raikkonen. We've caught up to that little group up ahead of Raikkonen, and actually Schumacher up ahead of him, doing a great job. However, he has now come into the pits, so he's going to be quite a bit further back, as we have all, I'm pretty much sure, done our stop. So we were chasing after 1 Alfa Romeo of Giovinazzi previously at the start of the race. Midway through the race, we're now looking at the back of the other Alfa Romeo of Kimi Raikkonen. And for these next few laps, it's a similar story to what was happening with Gio. We're just kind of there, but not quite close enough. I believe he might... No, I don't think he does have DRS off signs in front, actually. But, yeah, we're just not quite close enough. However, at this time, because he doesn't have the DRS... I mean, look at the closing speed this time. Because he doesn't have DRS, the closing speed for me is just so much better when I've got DRS. And we get the move on Raikkonen done well before the corner. Similar overtake to the last 2 we did, but this time a lot easier because he didn't also have DRS. Fernando Alonso retires out of the session, as you just saw up there. Big shame for him. I mean, he retired out of Baku last time, and he's retired out of this race too, so things not going a good way for Fernando Alonso in this career mode so far. We come in for our second pit stop onto the mediums. Now, Kimi Raikkonen, he pitted 1 lap before me, so I got in front of him previously, but has he done the undercut on me? As we come out of the pits, we can see him there on the right, and sure enough, yeah, Kimi's done the undercut on us. So we're going to have to fight our way back past the Alfa Romeo if we want that P13. We're nowhere near points. We're not going to be scoring points here unless there's a safety car and something crazy happens. But we were ahead of Kimi, and now he's got back past us because he's made the undercut work. So a little bit annoying there, but oh well. All it means is a bit more action is to be had, because otherwise we'd probably kind of be in no man's land, as there is a decent gap ahead to Ocon. So, on to lap 27. This is a 35-lap race, and we're still looking at the back of Raikkonen. We've got to make this move. We want to get that place back. Like I said, it's for no points, but we still just want to beat Raikkonen. He doesn't have DRS, so look at the closing speed. It is so much better than it is when they do have DRS, and once again, we're past him on the inside well before we get to the Wall of Champions chicane. And we're through. We've got back past Raikkonen again. So now we've just got 8 laps of probably just not a lot. We set the fastest last sector there, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, Ocon's up ahead on hards, but I don't really know if we've got the pace to catch him. Onto lap 28, and I actually make a bit of a mistake coming out of the chicane, hit the curb a little bit wrong, sends the car sideways, and Raikkonen is back past again. So we made the move on him the first time, he undercut us in the pits, we made the move on him the second time, and then we span sideways and he got back past. So we've got to do it for a second time now. We've got to get past Kimi Raikkonen once again, and there's only 6 laps of the race to go here, so this is for sure coming down to the wire. I mean, there's not been a whole lot of action in this race for me, other than, you know, the little race with Gio, a little bit with Mazepin at the start, and this bit of a race with Kimi. But he's actually he's getting a bit of a gap to us now. He's actually showing some pace. Now that he's got in front of me again, he's like, right, I'm going to keep this P13, and you're staying back there in P14, but I am having none of it. So I am pushing myself as hard as I can to catch back up to Kimi, to get the DRS. We're back in DRS range. We might have been in DRS range before, but we're having a little look. We're not quite close enough. I make him take a bit of an awkward line through the corner though, and that means that we're closer coming onto the front straight. We've got DRS once again. We go up the inside here, and we've got the pass done way before turn 1, and we're back up into P13 once again. We've got this lap and the next, and then we're done. So now we've just got to try and hold on to this position. Ocon up ahead is a bit too far ahead to do anything. Lewis Hamilton wins the Canadian Grand Prix, so finally we have a race won by not Bottas. Bottas has his 4-race winning streak has ended finally, with Hamilton taking the win. It's still all Mercedes, as Kimi has a little bit of a look around the outside of the hairpin. He's getting desperate. I like that the AI are this aggressive in this game. It's just so good. Seeing him try and go around the outside of the hairpin is just amazing. He gets a pretty good run, but it's not going to be quite good enough. He's going to the outside though. He's having a look into the Wall of Champions, but we're going to keep it tight, keep it through. He's right behind us, but we're going to deploy all our ERS and come home in P13. It was a good little battle with Kimi at the end there. We did it better though. We bested the Iceman, and yeah, it was a good little race at the end there. The rest of the race was a little bit boring, but yeah, altogether pretty decent.
They take the checkered flag then here in Canada in what has been another fabulous Grand Prix. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So there we have it. Lewis Hamilton wins the Canadian Grand Prix. Awesome to see him win of his first race. It's crazy to say that this is his first race of the season, 5 rounds in. Max Verstappen comes home in 2nd place. Valtteri Bottas down in 3rd this time, so he's still on the podium, but he's not won the race this time, so it's actually quite good to see a little bit of a change here, and that's pretty crazy considering it's Lewis Hamilton winning. I come off in 13th place. We beat Kimi Raikkonen, so that was a really good race at the end there. Christian Lundgaard ends up finishing in 16th, so it's not a bad race from him. He does pretty well. I don't know what's going on there with Antonio Giovinazzi's fastest lap time. He DNF'd and got a 54-second lap. Don't know what's going on there. Looking at the driver standings, and Valtteri Bottas, he's still way ahead of the championship, but Lewis Hamilton, he's back into 2nd place. He's closing the gap a bit, but what is that, a 67-point gap, I think that is? There's still a massive gap to Bottas, so at the moment he's still kind of running away with his championship. We've moved down to P12, so we're moving down the order a little bit now, unfortunately. And for the constructor standings, nothing's changed. We're still sitting in 8th place. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.